Good morning, everyone. It's Rabbi Joshua Hoffman, Valley Beth Shalom Synagogue in Encino, California, and it is a beautiful Wednesday morning towards the end of May. Here, at least I'm in Sherman Oaks, but in the greater San Fernando Valley area, and have a wonderful opportunity to share a few words of inspiration along with a little bit of coffee. Today it's in a travel mug because I guess we're on our way back out into the world and on the go once again. So this was for me walking around the neighborhood. That was a big trip for me. So I hope everyone is well. I hope that you're finding a lot of inspiration from all the learning that's come from our congregation, and that you continue to do so, as there's daily prayer twice a day in the morning and in the afternoon. There's programming, there's all kinds of learning opportunities, there's all kinds of gathering opportunities, and it is really a great way that our community is staying together through these times of isolation. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about what's on the news first, and then tie it into, I think, a very important subject, which we've discussed a little bit before here in our coffee and Kavanah, and to take it a little bit further. So as you'll notice on the news, as I'm sure you've heard, one of the big news items is that houses of worship are beginning to open once again. And certainly that came from a stirring call from the president and the federal government to consider houses of worship essential. And then we determined in the state what that meant, and even more so in the county. And slowly but surely, these houses of worship are beginning to open up. And that's fantastic, because as much as we love talking with you through these screens, there is something so precious about being in the presence of each other. And that's actually what was captured on the news that I was watching this morning, as they were surveying people who were reacting to this news. One gentleman, with his window rolled down from his car, just talked about wanting to be with his friends, and that opening a house of worship was so important so that he could be with his friends. And it made me think of that great Jewish joke about what Jewish prayer is all about. And that Moshe goes to shul, and Shimon goes to shul, and Moshe goes to shul to talk to God, and Shimon goes to shul to talk to Moshe. And they're not wrong, right? Prayer is not always an intellectual exercise. It's not only about accomplishing the goal of reciting the words and fulfilling the mitzvah, fulfilling the responsibility that we have to pray daily. But that prayer is an experience. It's an encounter. It's a transformative encounter. And so part of that experience is actually being with other people, which makes houses of worship alluring, but also incredibly concerning. Because when we do gather together, there are so many safety precautions that we have to take that we'll have to continue to question what is the value of the experience. And I want to share this as one dimension of that proposition of what is the value of prayer. And it comes from one of the great religious thinkers of the 20th century, Rabbi Abraham Yitzhak Kook, or Rav Kook, who lived at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century and was living in Palestine before it became the State of Israel. And Rav Kook was incredibly prolific, and he wrote some essays on prayer. And he simply says that prayer is an act of the soul. And I thought that was beautiful. That more than being an act of the mind or being an act of the heart or of the emotion, prayer is an act of the soul, which is to say that it is this transcendent experience that perhaps begins with our thinking, maybe is met with our emotions, but it really is an act of the soul in the sense that when mind and soul, or experience, mind and emotion, are put together in purpose, that act is an act of the soul. And so what is worship all about? Worship is a gathering place where we can express ourselves, we can find each other, we can be with each other, so that our acts of the soul are what we hope or we would like them to be. And I think that Rav Kook is really connected to a deep idea that the actions that we perform in being have this quality that is better than perhaps we think we're capable of. And prayer is the ability to transform that. You know, in a world that we live in today, I mean, I think in any time, there are so many demands on our attention. So many things that scroll across our screens. So many people that are asking for us to listen to them, to hear them, to see them. That it may be a challenge for what we consider our soul to respond in the way that we'd like to. So the idea that prayer helps us, prepares us, so that whatever act we do perform is in alignment or is consistent with our soul, that takes some work. It takes some practice. And that practice is something that prayer can really help us accomplish. Sometimes it'll take the form of words in the books that we read, and sometimes it'll take the form of us being present with each other in a large space, and something about holding and swaying each other, which we can't do physically for the time being, but that we'll be able to do in good time soon. That being in the presence of each other and having that experience enables us to open up our souls so that the acts that we perform are the ones that are most consistent with our highest selves, our highest being. There's one more act that I think we try to practice. We know that it's something that we should practice, but it also takes this kind of like soulful contemplation. It's kindness. I could describe kindness to you in so many ways. Picking up the phone and calling a friend, or maybe extending a helpful gesture to a stranger who looks like they're having a difficult time, or feeding someone who's hungry and you don't even know if you'll ever see them again, but in that moment you are connected as one. There are many examples of kindness and acts of kindness, and we can think about them. We think about what it means to be a kind person, whether to share our words gently or whether to behave in such a way that people can develop a sense of trust, a sense of comfort with us. All of that is not something that we just give a definition to. Kindness isn't something that we just merely define as the outcome of the experience. Kindness is an action. Kindness is something that we perform. It's something that we do continually. And to know that you're a person who lives or embodies kindness means to practice or act that way consistently so that people can have confidence and trust that the way that you do behave is with a gesture or with an expression or with a soulful being of kindness. So just like prayer is one of these things that is an act of the soul, meaning it's the contemplation and the meditation upon your behavior and how you respond or make choices to the demands of the moment, the attention that is being asked of us, whether it's from our friend sitting right next to us or whether it's some place in the world with people that we never meet. That contemplation is similar to the contemplation of kindness. And I bring this up because the holiday of Shavuot is just a couple days away. And it really is the quintessential quality. As we read the books and the stories, it's not only about the kind of awe and shuddering presence of receiving the wisdom of the Torah. That's a really powerful moment. But it's really about the sort of shadow of that experience. What do we do after we've experienced something as profound or as powerful as receiving Torah? And I really think that that's where the acts of our soul, the acts of kindness, are really important to think about, to meditate upon, and to perhaps transform our presence into action in some way moving forward. So I think today, what I hope for all of us, as we're kind of sitting here and continuing to meditate on what the demands of the world are for us and how we're going to respond, to allow us to pray, to really enter into prayer. And prayer is, in that way, is beyond thinking, beyond feeling. It's a way of kind of negating all of those impulses. Sitting in the place where you know that the next act you're about to take is the truest, it is the most responsible, it is the most loving, it is the most kind act that you can possibly take. Those moments happen all the time for us. When they happen, sometimes they happen, it seems spontaneously. But when they happen, more often than not, they come as a result of prayer. So when we speak of prayer, it's not about words in a book. It's not about ideas that penetrate our mind and transform our thinking. It's not about emotions and our ability to control our emotions in a certain way. It's this beautiful, transcendent understanding that when mind and when heart are absent from the choices that we make, and that true being and our soul is responding to the world around us, that's when we are our best selves. So today, I hope that you find that. I hope that you find soulful moments. Maybe they'll be encounters with the people that you love and closer to you. Maybe they'll be in some meeting somewhere where you'll be able to share some important information and to do it in such a way that is loving and kind. Maybe it'll be in some act, some kind of random moment in which you have an opportunity to respond. And it might be impulsive, but it comes as a result of the practice and the thought and the preparation that prayer and soulful acting can take. So I hope that's a little bit of inspiration and wisdom for you today. And I thank you for joining us. Be on the lookout for more great Kavanah and coffee moments through Valley Beshalom, our wonderful Shavuot programming that is happening Thursday evening, Friday, and Saturday, and all the great programming that is continuing in the coming weeks. Have a great day, everyone.